Good morning. I'm sitting here this morning with Alan Segal, who is the founder of the Jazz Sanctuary, a great musician, a great jazz musician, who plays in a variety of venues, he and his group, throughout our diocese and region. And I welcome you this morning to our brief interview section here, and I want you to tell us something about the Jazz Sanctuary. How in the world did you get started with that?
Thank you, Bishop, and thank you for inviting me here today. The quick story is the Jazz Sanctuary began after I had suffered a brain operation in 2006. And through the year of rehabilitation, I was visited by really a huge number of priests who were there to support my wife, the priest at Gloria Dei, and to support me. It was a wonderful response to my illness. And when I went through my rehabilitation, the visits continued. And I thought, how am I to give back? How shall I give back to that community that gave so much to me during that period of rehabilitation? So while I was busy practicing my bass, getting my hand-eye coordination together, I thought, well, Jazz and Joe. I'll prepare the jazz, and the houses of worship will give up the Joe, the coffee and desserts, and I will give to them music. And why not? So I went out, gathered sponsors together, browbeat them into paying for it, and we appear at churches, houses of worship, public events, any charitable event, free of charge. I'm the only one that makes no money, but free of charge.
Free of charge, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I want to hear some more about that.
The question is, what does Jazz Sanctuary, Jazz and Joe, do? Why is it in existence? It's in existence to bring to the churches, houses of worship, a sense of community belonging through music. Music provided to the house of worship for no charge. And how do we do that? We do that by sponsorship. This is an unusual program, and I might add, a singular program in the United States. And so we visit a house of worship. We have a 2-hour event. The Jazz Sanctuary supplies great music, great jazz, and the house of worship provides the Joe, the coffee, Jazz and Joe, coffee, dessert, in some cases a taste of wine, and we have a 2-hour music event that is enjoyed by all. By all, I don't mean just the parish members. We have found that a full 50% of the people in the audience come from outside the parish, so that the parish hall or the parish itself has a greater and larger sense of community, bringing in the public into their space to enjoy the music and the camaraderie and the community of the house of worship. One might ask, why jazz? Jazz is the only music invented here in America. It is indigenous to America and nowhere else. How did we get jazz? Well, jazz is the response to the music that came out of New Orleans when they were picking cotton and singing gospel music. And you might say, that's hard to believe. Well, no, it's not. Hard labor produces a count of music, which is 4 beats to a measure, on the 2 and 4 rather than on the 1 and 3. 2 and 4, why? Because you're lifting. And when you lift 1, 2. So gospel music is on the 2 and 4. And believe it or not, jazz is on the 2 and 4 beat and takes most of its cues, if not all of its cues, from the gospel music. Gospel music itself, relating to jazz, tells you how widespread jazz is today. Jazz and Joe, the Jazz Sanctuary, keeps jazz alive. Sad to say, today jazz is not as appreciated as it once was. It once was the popular music in the United States, just as classical music was the popular music in Western Europe. The popular music of the day, Classical music was the rap of its day. Well, let's keep jazz alive. We're trying to keep the indigenous music of the United States alive and well and living here. And how do we do that? Well, we not only appear at many Episcopal houses of worship, and we do that, we also appear at Bethlehem Baptist Church. We also appear at Lutheran churches or Methodist churches. And believe it or not, the sense of community brings people of all faiths together to celebrate not only their faith and not only their sense of community, but jazz. It was once said that music is only 12 notes, and until God produces a 13th note, that's all there is. And what you do with it is in the heart of the musician. It's easy to play a melody. It's difficult to play the jazz around the melody. And that's what people come to hear and appreciate. They tap their toes, they sway, and they appreciate what the musician brings to the table from their heart. It's no mistake that the cultural forms that we wish to survive, that we help to survive, are all done through charitable organizations. If it weren't for the 501c3, which is the IRS designation, we wouldn't have things like the Art Museum, or perhaps the Philadelphia Orchestra, or the Philadelphia Pops. All of those museums, large and small, depend on the charitable being of those that want to keep that art form alive. And so the Jazz Sanctuary, Keeping Jazz Alive, is indeed a 501c3, a charitable organization. What are the benefits to a house of worship for holding a Jazz and Joe event? Well, we're sponsored. Thankfully, the sponsors pick up the vast majority of the cost so that we're able to offer a Jazz and Joe event at your house of worship for absolutely no cost. What do you have to do? Well, you provide the Joe, coffee, and some desserts. That's all you have to do, and the space. We'll come in and do a 2-hour jazz event for you. What else is the gain? Well, the gain is you can invite all your friends. You can invite the entire community. In addition to, you can ask for a free will offering or a charge if you wish, the result of which has been anywhere from $200 to $400 for each event for the church to use in either their music program or their general programs. So it's a win-win. It's a win for the church, a win for the musician, and certainly a win for the sponsors. Put it all together, and we have Jazz and Joe. If you would like to have a Jazz Sanctuary Jazz and Joe event at your parish, you can contact us through email, music@thejazzsanctuary.com, or go online at www.thejazzsanctuary.com. Of course, you can always reach me at 215-208-7314, and we'll be very quick to respond. Remember, all events are free of charge to the house of worship.
Thank you, Alan, for that. There's no saying that he who sings prays twice, and I'm sure the saying is true that he who plays, especially jazz, prays twice as well. So thank you for this great ministry and this great creativity and use of the gift that God has given you and the others in your group. Your next engagement, as I understand it, is August the 8th.
That's correct.
At Church of the Holy Spirit in Harleysville.
That's correct.
7:30 in the evening. All are invited to come and enjoy that great evening of jazz. Also, if you would like to know, Alan tells me that there are 20 or 30 events scheduled for later in the fall, and you can find a complete schedule of events, times, places on our diocesan webpage, www.diopa.org. So go to the webpage, find a date that's convenient, and go and enjoy a enjoy a great evening of music. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Bishop.